Today is another day in March, just like it's been another day in March for about a year now, and I'm in my 6th month of waiting to sod off to the other side of the world.
You know, apparently Japan's vaccination program is so slow that it could take up to 126 years for the entire population to be vaccinated. Although, as a rather wise man pointed out, most of the population are probably going to live that long anyway. Still, not particularly promising when I'm waiting for their borders to open. So right now I'm waiting. We're all waiting for the day we go back to normal. And I'm very specific with the word normal, because if I hear the term new normal one more time, I'm going to take a very passive-aggressive inhalation. Come on, get up this hill, you bag. I feel like I'm in the Windows XP background. Now, it's very easy to get comfortable with the fact that a lot of our struggles can't be helped. And this is of course true, because it's not our fault that the world's in the current state that it's in, apart from that guy who shagged a bat. I mean, it's not as if we as individuals can change anything, can we? It's important not to take responsibility for the things that we can't control. In fact, the idea of not sparing a toss is universal and prevalent throughout literature, ranging even from the dawn of civilization itself, ranging from classic Stoic philosophies to the equally philosophical, the subtle art of not giving an F. However, even amongst this steaming pile of manure, you've got people making great strides in their life. You've got people even getting married. I mean, some of the people around me right now are mating like bloody rabbits at the moment. You've got people getting new jobs, some people even starting new businesses of their own, and people around you just being ridiculously successful while the world around us just crumbles. It does make you look at yourself and think, well, what am I doing? And one look at your LinkedIn newsfeed will consolidate that. Well, I don't recommend going on LinkedIn too much unless you want incredibly high blood pressure. A lot of this intuition comes not from the external factors or the extrinsic motivation, but rather the opposite. It comes from the internal factors, because there is a place for the metaphorical toss to be given. This idea involves taking full responsibility for our internal responses to any given situation, responses that only we are in control of. These responses include our judgments, our reactions, our responses, any given situation, because only we are in control of them. In other words, we can't change what life throws at us, but we are always in control of the way we respond to it. One of the most powerful examples of maintaining one's free will comes from a video I saw from Captain Sinbad, one of my favourite YouTubers out there. It centres around the story of former middleweight boxer Rubin Hurricane Carter, who was falsely accused of triple homicide and sentenced to life in prison. He could have conceded to his anger and frustration and let his terrible fate get the better of him, but instead he refused to see himself as a prisoner, and he realised that anger and frustration were merely unproductive in helping his cause. Instead, he dedicated himself to working on his trial, studying law, and galvanising public support of his case through writing a book while in prison. He went through multiple retrials with a relentless dedication before finally being released 19 years later. Check out the film The Hurricane if you want to see more of that. But this is a true example of how far we can go and how barriers can be broken just from how we respond to our circumstances and making the most of the opportunities and resources around us. Now, obviously we're not falsely behind bars, but you can be forgiven for thinking that sometimes lockdown is a little bit like prison, except without the routine. The thing is, the world's never going to be in a perfect state of equilibrium. The Miley Cyrus lockdown period is just one example of one state of crisis, albeit a rather dire one. In reality, or at least according to the media, the world is constantly going through some kind of crisis, whether it be recessions, it would be war, or climate change, whatever. The universe will naturally tend towards chaos, and that's just a fact of thermodynamics, which for some reason I learnt doing an economics degree. But whatever. I'm going to read you an extract from a book called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway, while sitting on this Victorian birthing chair. No wait, Victorian breastfeeding chair. So imagine that you're the baby and this book is my lactating tit. Actually, no, I don't. That's a bit weird, isn't it? Taking responsibility means being aware of the multitude of choices you have in any given situation. As you go through each day, it is important to realise that at every moment you are choosing the way you feel. When a difficult situation comes into your life, it is possible to tune into your mind and say, okay, choose. Are you going to make yourself miserable or content? Are you going to visualise scarcity or abundance? Are you going to put yourself down for getting angry with your husband or wife? Or are you simply going to notice what insecurity you were feeling at the time and discuss it with them? The choice is definitely yours. Pick the one that contributes most to your aliveness and growth. And here's a quick exercise from the book to do that will help you feel noticeably more powerful in the face of your fears. And it goes like this. List all the payoffs you get from staying stuck in some aspect of your life. What don't you have to face? What don't you have to do? What comfort do you get from it? What image do you get to hold on to? Be as honest with yourself as you possibly can. When you are aware of what you are doing, you will automatically discard a lot of your robot-like behaviour. You will lead yourself instead of being led. And I'd just like to add as well, ask yourself, what am I procrastinating? And is it one of my dreams? No matter how ambitious or aspirational it may sound, am I procrastinating it? Give it a bit of thought. Lord above knows I'd love to be in Japan right now, earning me yen and spunking it on fun adventures with my mates. But instead, I've tried to make the most of this extreme amount of time spent indoors working on the creative pursuits that I've dreamed of and procrastinated over since about age 11. We may be unable to do so many things due to this situation, but there's also the scope for challenging new things, things that once not so long ago, perhaps a spark of curiosity flared up inside us. Perhaps this is the opportunity to give them a go. Perhaps if we shifted the focus from what we can't do to what we can, then we'll revel in an abundance of ideas and aspirations. This has been precious time where I've been able to focus on writing, learning about publishing, and even doing my little YouTube videos as well. All things that I love working on and they make me happy. I even started reading, which for many years, in all honesty, I wasn't a big fan of because I was just so used to university textbooks which I just could not understand. And all of a sudden, I've shat out a little book of my own. So at the end of the day, no matter what happens to me or the world, these are things that I can continue working on and I will continue working on simply because I enjoy them. And that's all that matters. Now, don't think I'm some kind of life guru who's got everything worked out. The ideas posed in this video are all things that I'm trying to work on at the moment because honestly, I am struggling through this. Not being able to see my mates and the general anxiety from the uncertainty of it all, it does get to me at times. But at the same time, I'm trying to think that this time, this precious time, it's a gift. It's hard to see it that way, but it is, and it's time to spend working on passions and reinventing ourselves. So with this in mind, let's keep to our own devices and wait just a little bit longer before the world recovers. You know, it might not be so long at this particular stage. Fingers crossed. If you found this video interesting or you thought my jokes were really bad, do consider subscribing. Leave a like and a comment, and if you've got any video suggestions, do let me know. I'd love to hear. But until next time, guys, take care, and I'll see you next time.